We are live, a very special edition of Football 24/7. I am John McMullen, joined alongside of me with my buddy Jeff Kerr from CBS. And why are we here, Jeff? We're talking about a Zach Ertz. Ertz trade is finally here. Man, we go back to last year's trade deadline. We talked about is Zach Ertz going to be here? Got injured. If he didn't get injured last year, I thought maybe he would have been moved at last year's trade deadline. The entire offseason seemed like when's Zach Ertz going to be traded? Zach Ertz isn't going to be here. We get to training camp. He shows up. Everything's copacetic. He develops this great relationship with Nick Sirianni. Then, bang, it just happens that quickly. And it was a little bit of strange circumstances, Jeff, because the Eagles knew they were trading Zach Ertz earlier this week, and they put him out there on Thursday. So from that standpoint, I do want to get into Zach's impact on the Philadelphia Eagles and the city, but man, you put him out there when you know a trade is going down with it. What if something goes wrong, Jeff Kerr? So I want to start with the full football standpoint first. Is that the way you would have handled this with Zach Ertz? Knowing what he means to this franchise, Howie Roseman spoke today. Zach showed his class by speaking today for, I think, 17 minutes to us. Not a lot of people do that after they get traded. So I realize what he means to this organization, but one sprained ankle, again, the trade's off the board. How would you have handled this?
Yeah, and here's the thing, John. What if Arizona could have used him for Sunday, perhaps against the Cleveland Browns? I think we could have set up a couple plays for Zach Ertz against the really good Cleveland Browns defense, and maybe that's why Howie Roseman said, "Well, that's why we didn't pick up the phone until this morning to finalize it." And it just seemed like the offer has been on the table for a couple days, and Ertz signed off on it, but. Maybe Ertz said, and I didn't get to hear all the press conference, but maybe he goes, you know what, I want to play one more game in front of these fans. And
well, he definitely did. He did say, you remember last year, the final game, Washington football team, Zach Ertz, Jason Kelsey, Carson Wentz sitting there on the side of an empty Lincoln Financial Field. Certainly seemed like an ending. We knew it was going to be an ending for Carson Wentz. We certainly thought it was going to be ending for Zach Ertz in Philadelphia. Even Jason Kelsey could have walked away and retired. It just seemed like those guys were reminiscing about their time together. That was going to be it. And obviously it changed. And Zach said he was happy about that because it just felt weird to do it in front of no fans. He wanted to play that final time, and he thought he played well. I thought he played well. Had the touchdown, obviously didn't go out the way he wanted to with a win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but he did mention that specifically. He's glad it didn't end that way in hindsight with no fans in the stands. And this city has meant so much to him. I do, people brought up to the fact, well, you get to go home or you get to go closer to home. He gets to go back to California. He spent the offseason in Arizona with his wife, Julie, rehabbing together in Jordan Hicks's house, ironically. And he said, no, it's not like going home. His home is now Philadelphia. So I want to put this together with Ben Simmons, how he's handled things, asking for a trade versus Zach Ertz doing it the right way. And I think he goes out and Philadelphia loves him for the way he did it. You like this team. You've liked this team for a long time. What has he meant to you, Zach Ertz?
Well, Zach Ertz is the guy, in my opinion. He was the Super Bowl hero, and I remember when they won that Super Bowl. I'm covering the game for CBS at the time, and and I was specifically doing the Eagles, and I'm thinking to myself, "Oh, it'd be so cool if they put the guy who caught the game-winning touchdown pass on the podium." And I just kind of went, like. That was awesome. That kind of hit me, that moment that the Eagles actually won the Super Bowl. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, okay, Zach Ertz is a franchise icon. He's the guy who caught the game-winning touchdown pass in that Super Bowl, went through all that, you had to hear all the yards after the catch. And I remember the game against Cincinnati where he had the bad route and then he it looked like he quit on the play, and I'm like, well, Zach Ertz ain't a quitter. That just isn't true. And I remember like he said something in the beginning of the 2017 season. We talked about this. I remember it was after the Kansas City game. He said a quote and I misquoted him, and I published a story on it. And he reached out to me and said, "Hey, I know I said this. I didn't mean it like that." And I said, "Oh, hey Zach, no problem, man." I said, "I'll fix that up for you, right away." Because I'm like, hey, I kind of wanted to get what you meant anyway. So I didn't think he meant the quote like that. And we've had a really good relationship since. And he said he really appreciated that. He said his wife appreciated that. Always handled everything with class. When I had to talk to him, he was just a guy to me personally. I'm happy for him. I'm happy he's in Arizona, has a chance to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Clearly,
Great team. Obviously, it's early, but it looks like it could be a significant contender. So, from that standpoint, Howie Roseman spoke about this was the right fit, not only for the Philadelphia Eagles, but for Zach Ertz. And obviously, from Zach Ertz's standpoint, you probably couldn't have gone to a better situation. I guess you could argue Buffalo would be similar, although maybe not from a location standpoint, but they might be even a little bit closer to being a contender. So you can kind of argue it both ways. But I want to look at it from the Eagles' perspective in that, okay, they get a fifth round pick. That's not what Howie Roseman wanted. He talked about a day 2 pick, which seemed way too expensive for most of us, I think, and that was part of the problem. But he also gets a young cornerback in Tay Gowan, a very lengthy corner. What do you know about him? It's pretty evident to me that the Eagles have no confidence in their backup outside corners early in the season. So is this somebody as a rookie that can come in and help? Or is it just going to be a lot of uncertainty like Zach McPherson?
So I looked at it this way, John. I just wrote up the trade grade for the Eagles and the Cardinals for CBS Sports, and I gave the Eagles a B. Tay Gowan made the Cardinals 53-man roster, but he was a guy that he didn't play. He was just pretty much like a game day inactive, kind of. Remember how like the Eagles used Jordan Mailata like his first year or so? That's pretty much what he was. He was just on the roster. They didn't want him on the practice squad, and they like him in Arizona. He was really good in man coverage in 2019. He only allowed a 22.8 passer rating in man coverage, and everybody talks about Aaron Robinson in Central Florida, and a lot of people were telling me, hey, you got to check out this tape. This Tay Gowan kid probably would have been drafted higher if he didn't sit out the 2020 season because of COVID. So he seems like more of a project. But you're right, John. They just don't have any faith in their outside cornerbacks outside of Darius Slay and Steven Nelson. And, Nelson's going to be a free agent. Monte Max is going to be a free agent. I look at it as he's a project for this year. Guy they developed. Seems to fit what Jonathan Gannon wants to do. And they'll go and move on from there, and they'll see what he is next year. It's pretty much just acquiring 2 draft picks for Zach Ertz at this rate.
Yeah, 2 second-day draft picks. But then the bigger impact is obviously the tight end room. And Howie Roseman was pretty honest. They can't keep both, Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz. They want to keep Dallas Goedert. He said flat out he's not getting a discount. He's not getting the hometown discount for Dallas Goedert. He and his agent seem to realize that they're going to cash in, and they're going to cash in a big way because people around this league really, really value Dallas Goedert. So that's part of it. But also I thought it was interesting. Howie Roseman brought up twice, and he wasn't prodded about it. And that's Jackson and Tyree, and the fact that what he was able to do over the summer before he hurt his back, man, this team really likes Tyree Jackson. I look, he was, as you know, he was a great quarterback at the University of Buffalo, tremendous size, tremendous athleticism. We look at Logan Thomas down in Washington, what he was able to do. But it took Logan Thomas a while to make that transition. I looked at Tyree Jackson as more of a developmental prospect. It seems like the Eagles want him on the field. They want him on the field this year, and he's getting close. They called that a 2-month injury. So we're getting close to that 8-week mark in the season. We're going to see Tyree Jackson on the field. How exciting is that for you to see somebody with that size, that athleticism, to be out there and perhaps be the Jordan Mailata, so to speak, of the tight end room?
Yeah, and that was one thing I mentioned too. Like Tyree Jackson was, I think this is week 7 now of that 8 to 10 week
Yeah.
window, and
Yeah.
they can get that practice market. And yeah, John, I agree. I'd love to see Tyree Jackson just evolve as the number 2 tight end in this offense. And they do like Jack Stoll as well, but Tyree's the one. After everything you guys reported in training camp, we didn't get to see that much of him in the preseason, obviously with the injury, but. And this guy's just going to be a mismatch for a lot of linebackers and a lot of defensive backs in this league. And I think it's ultimately going to help the quarterback. And I think Dallas Goedert is going to help the quarterback as well. We can say whatever we want about Jalen Hurts and his inability in the middle of the field. But when you got a guy who's getting open.
6'7".
Yeah, 6'7". Exactly. You can throw it up. You can overthrow him. He's one of those guys. He's like a basketball player. He's going to come down with it. They're going to have a better presence in the red zone. And, with the run pass option, it's going to be hard to run the ball when you got a guy like that who can get you the advantage on short down. I'm excited to see the Dallas Goedert getting number 1 snaps and Tyree Jackson just pretty much being a compliment to him. I think it helps out this offense.
All right, and Jeff will kind of end it back with Zach Ertz. I want to talk about his sort of imprint, his legacy, not only on this franchise, but this team. He ends up 10 receptions short of Harold Carmichael, which is a little bit disappointing. You kind of hoped he would get that record. He's going to come up just short. Howie Roseman already said, guess what? He's going in the Eagles Hall of Fame. Obviously, we have to wait a couple of years before we see that. The Eagles just put Trey Thomas and John Runyon in the Hall of Fame last night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You go all the way back to Pete Retzlaff and Pete Pios, and for longtime Eagles fans, they've had some great tight ends. Keith Jackson, more recent, Brad Selleck, who was so well respected for so long. But it doesn't get better than Zach Ertz. Man, I saw Darius Slay tweet. I think they were picked 35 and 36.
Yep.
And Slay joked the best 35 and 36 duo in NFL history. You can't get much better than what the Eagles got out of Zach Ertz for that level of pick in the second round.
Yeah, those first 2 picks in that 2013 draft, boy, were they toward their Super Bowl team, Lane Johnson, Zach Ertz. That turned out really well. But, yeah, if I had to rank him amongst best tight ends in franchise history, to me, it's like him and Pete Retzlaff, 1A. I mean, Retzlaff got better as he got older, and I think Ertz probably would have surpassed him if he would have spent his entire career here. I'm not saying he's never going to come back, but, you never know. Single season record, most receptions by a tight end, caught the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl, a couple 1,000-yard seasons, 3 Pro Bowls. He was in that conversation for a bit with Travis Kelce and George Kittle as best tight ends in the league. So, he was really good. And we all like to say, okay, it didn't end the way it wanted to. He kind of had a steep decline, but I still say he has some good football left in him, and I think he's going to show in Arizona.
Yeah, we're going to see it. Obviously, that's a high-octane offense. So it is a situation where I'm glad Zach Ertz went to a team that has a chance. He went to an area that he likes, he enjoys. He spent, as I said, a lot of the offseason in it. Not a storybook ending. I guess a storybook ending would have been ending here in Philadelphia. But you have to feel good, feel at least a sense of relief that Zach Ertz is going somewhere where he liked, because this guy was a joy to cover. That's another thing. I mean, look at today, Jeff. You don't see a lot of guys who talk for 17 minutes after they get traded. And he specifically told the Eagles, I want to talk to those guys, us reporters. Rare guy. Obviously, his charity, everyone should go. Ertz Foundation. He and Julie are doing wonderful things. They're not going to stop that in Philadelphia. So good luck to Zach Ertz. That's all we can say. Football 24/7. And thanks for Jeff Kerr, CBS, for hopping on, getting me through this. I appreciate that, Jeff. We're always here on the JAKIB Media channel. We call it Birds 365 for a reason. We call it Football 24/7 for a reason. You can go on the JAKIB Media YouTube page at any time to get all your Eagles information. People like Jeff Kerr giving it to you always here on the JAKIB Media channel. Zach Ertz, good luck. Godspeed. It was wonderful covering you. And thanks to all the viewers here on Football 24/7. We will see you next time.